Welcome to the From Code to C-Suite podcast.
If you ask me today, would you do Zag Trader again? I would say probably not. If you go into that market, then you have to compete with one of them. You cannot compete with everybody because everyone is a pro in their own thing. Go after revenue very quickly. If you build, and don't have revenue at an early stage, something will break.
Shihab Khalil built a global fintech empire before the word even existed. Today, he reveals the brutal reality of selling to banks, why most startups fail to break even, and the hard lessons learned from 20 years in the trenches. Let's get into the conversation.
Once we broke even, it didn't matter if we reached milestone 2 or 3 or 4 in a year or 2 or 5 even, because we broke even. So time stops. You need to know how to think more than how to code anymore with AI and all the stuff that you have around you.
Shihab, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And thank you so much for coming here today. I know you're a super busy man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So I'm super excited to get into your journey. I know you've done some amazing things in this region over the past 10, 20 years?
Touching 20.
Yeah, awesome. And a pioneer in your space that you've built here. So really keen to get into the conversation.
Looking forward to sharing everything we've done with the community.
Good stuff. So could you actually give us a bit of an introduction for anybody that doesn't know you, who you are, what you're doing, a bit about your background?
Other than my name, I am the founder and CEO of Zag Trader. It's a close to 20 years old tech startup, Fintech startup. At a time when it started, the word Fintech wasn't a thing, actually. It was a tech. Yeah, it wasn't. So it was tech serving the finance. So later it became Fintech. So we were halfway through. We weren't a startup anymore. So we weren't so... on the radar because we were like 5-6 years old, but we were serving the industry from its biggest pain points. Apart from that, let's go back to me. I've had my education in computer engineering. I've always had a passion for computer science and programming. I worked with the telco industry. I worked with IBM as systems engineering in the past, and then I later joined enterprise sales. Had my bachelor's in computer engineering, and then I went into Masters of International Law and an MBA. It's a weird combo, but later became very well appreciated, honestly. So Zag Trader, on the other side, is a technology company serving banks, brokers, asset managers, exchanges, the financial services aspect and the capital markets aspect of things.
Nice.
When it started, crypto wasn't even a thing. So when later digital assets started to show up, and we expanded that universe into the crypto space. So we became more onto a unified multi-asset class platform that is serving the industry and trying to solve the biggest problems and add as much value as possible. More on Zag Trader as we speak soon.
Awesome. So tell me about Zag Trader, right? In terms of what you guys look like as a business now from a bird's eye view. Headcount wise, what regions you operate in, where most of the staff are based, and what verticals you actually operate in as well.
So Zag Trader today started in the UAE and grew to cover the region and then the rest of the world. So today we are roughly 80 employees and we cover pretty much all the GCC and portions of Europe and Asia as well. We haven't expanded yet to North America or South America. Those are the only 2 points where we are looking forward to start expanding our footprint over there.
Nice.
The platform basically is a trading platform. It has front, middle, back office, compliance, reporting, pretty much everything that what an organization needs to run fully integrated end to end. Systems have always had issues integrating within each other, and financial institutions being very conservative, a new requirement shows up. They don't rip off the old systems and replace them with new systems. They keep patching things up. So they have a new requirement, they add another system and integrate to it. Later, they end up with too many systems and barely speak to each other. And it gets too complicated. And at that point in time, you need to have a solution that simply can potentially replace everything in one place. Zag Trader also started as a software firm. Which it is today, a software firm.
Yeah.
But 5 years ago, that company grew significantly due to the fact that it decided to go into the SaaS, software as a service model as well. So we started offering something we called managed services.
Nice.
You don't need tech people, understanding of tech, to run your business operations on tech at that point in time. And we fuse ourselves into the financial institutions business, and we basically outsource all their IT, pretty much everything, into Zag. That also allowed us to scale nicely into a new breed of clients that wanted to simply find a company that will run their entire operations, and they have an idea. And that helped us also establish something we called Zag Ventures also.
Nice. What would an ideal customer profile look like for you guys then? I know you work across different verticals, but what would that look like?
Honestly, they vary. You can work with startups all the way to investment banks and exchanges and what's in between. So the Zag Trader as a platform has morphed into becoming more of a framework where it applies to a smaller startup to run a retail brokerage operation. You want to buy and sell stocks, or you want to buy and sell cryptos, or whatever it is, and you want a system that does it all for you. You don't need to be working with too many vendors and suppliers. Yet you could be a prime broker where you are able to accept flow from institutions and route it back into other institutions and be a settlement hub for a region or a set of asset classes. You could be an investment bank. You could also be an exchange where buyers and sellers meet at there and you match between all of them. Now, we also have family offices, and we also have fund managers and asset managers and portfolio managers also using the platform. Incidentally, there are a new breed of newcomers coming up now, which are people like us, where we run internally on our own platform. Our accounts, our ledgers, our accounting, our invoicing, pretty much.
Interesting.
So we were able to use what we've built and purpose it into an enterprise-grade ERP system.
Yeah.
It is something that we're considering actually getting into, but we're testing it on ourselves so we can get our enterprise-grade ERP into non-financial services people as well.
Nice. And how, when you first started the business, how did the idea come around? Was there a specific problem you thought this needs to solve, or how did that come about?
First of all, I'm fascinated with technology.
Yeah.
I studied computer engineering, and I was tearing things apart when I was a kid, trying to group them together. And then later I figured out that software is my thing that I wanted to specialize into. And I went into that. So there's a passion for software. So it's basically a bunch of things that formed all that need into one place.
Yeah.
So I started with software and I love it. Okay. So put that aside.
What was you coding when you first started coding, by the way? What software were we talking about?
The Visual Basics, C, C#, C++. C# came later. These languages, web included PHP and a few other languages that we have. Those were primarily the languages that I started with. Obviously, in college, I learned Fortran, and I learned languages that don't even exist today. But syntax doesn't matter anymore. So it's the process of thinking.
Yeah.
And you understand what a loop is and how you structure your brain to cut the problem into smaller pieces and how you tackle each piece separately. And then at the end of the day, fast forward today with AI all around us, you need to know how to think more than how to code anymore with AI and all the stuff that you have around you. You need to be able to think from an engineering structuring perspective and what you need to do rather than actually coding it physically yourself. AI today codes it for you.
Yeah, it's true.
It's amazing. So why did we set this up? Well, other than the pure passion for technology, I was with IBM selling enterprise solutions. So
was that your first role post graduation? Then what did you get into?
Yeah, I was a systems engineer selling to institutions. I worked with IBM, and then I was selling to banks and and I was selling to government agencies. And I was selling, so I learned my way into getting into the institutional aspect from a vendor perspective. So from an early stage, but I was selling ready-made solutions, software and hardware, and all of that. But it was nice because everything was trying to integrate and create a solution that didn't exist before. Fast forward, one day I was sitting in my desk with the IBMs, and I was it was a euphoria with the capital markets, and a lot of people simply were literally buying and selling stocks, and I wasn't too much into trading, but I was so curious. I wanted to open up an account and start trading.
Yeah.
And that was way before the online trading was even a thing, actually. So I wired some money and I started working on it, and it was nice and it was a bit tedious.
What was you trading? Do you remember what sort of stocks you was trading then?
Yeah, US markets.
Okay, nice.
I started with I was in Dubai, and there was no broker that accepted any online brokerage applications.
Wow.
Exchanges didn't even have automated mechanisms how to place orders into the exchanges. It was all over the phone. So I wired a couple of $1,000s to a broker in the US. It used to be called Ameritrade, and then later it became TD Ameritrade, and then later Schwab bought it.
Yeah, nice.
But I opened up an account and I started learning it from ground zero, literally, from the retail aspect of things. Then I went back and said, okay, why don't I actually build something that I can use the same experience and apply it into the emerging and frontier markets. Now, with the emerging and frontier markets, it's a blessing to be as a startup into the emerging and frontier markets in the stuff that we have, because they started with nothing. So they wanted a system that can do everything. Rather than going in with already mature financial services markets like the US and Europe and Asia, where there are so many vendors that do very specific things. And if you go into that market, then you have to compete with one of them. You cannot compete with everybody because everyone is a pro in their own thing.
Makes sense.
So you go to an emerging market, frontier market, there's absolutely nothing. So you have to be the guy that does everything.
Yeah.
So you create a very wide platform that can literally do front, middle, back, trading, risk management, reporting, whatever you can do, you have to do to complete that whole picture. And then go deeper as the industry started to mature. And that was the actual trick where we were able to actually start and widen the scope as much as we potentially could, and then grow with the region and get into the sophistication of financial services as it grew. But the region grew very quick.
Yeah.
It got sophisticated very quickly. They didn't have to go through 100 years curve to go and be in par with other exchanges. It took them a decade. So it went 10x the speed. And obviously that was filled with challenges, emotions, pretty much everything that you could think of coming in one place.
Yeah.
You're challenged technologically to develop it continuously, to basically serve the growing needs of the community around you. And
a fun space for you to be in there, right? I guess when it sees exponential growth, and then you can be one of the first movers in that space.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
capitalize on that.
It's also challenging.
Yeah.
Because once the audience begins to mature, foreign vendors become wary that this is a market that now invites us and is ready for us to go and sell into. So starting in Dubai specifically, and Abu Dhabi and the UAE specifically here, you interfaced with the clients face to face. Now, everyone who wants to sell in this region opens up a shop in here and gets a representative to pitch their solutions to the first audience that they can find locally before regionally. So that kept the pressure on to maintain a certain competitive level of pressure to maintain as always on for you. So you would always implement the best solutions, work on yourself to go and compete. So that helped us dramatically maintain a world-class service, because we knew if we didn't innovate, we would have died months after.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting as well, because a lot of businesses, and I think a lot of like mentor or business gurus, they always say start super niche. But I guess that's in more mature markets, right, where you've got tons of competition.
Absolutely.
Whereas in emerging market, sometimes it is better to broaden the search, capture everything, and then do that after.
So the niche for us was the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the unit. What was the starting unit for you? Yes, you're absolutely right. If it was actually a niche that I was starting into, a very small box, then I was trying to also sell into a market where it already had satisfied clients consuming smaller solutions that barely did anything. So, and the buying power and then the value gets diluted. You need to have one system that can lift everything in one place and take it and leverage the client and take them into the next level of growth with one big system. And that's where they begin to see the value of it. And then you can also demand more money for it. And then the customer will be happy to pay more for it because they're making more money using this system. It's a good relationship to have with the client if you're on the client side. You want them to grow so you can grow with them. So I'm not trying to sell you a piece of paper. I don't know what you want to print on it or not. And my job is to sell you a commodity. Those smaller microsystems were selling commodities, basically. And we were trying to sell growth. That was the story of Zag and how we can partner with our clients and grow with them.
It's more exciting, I think, when you can actually see the how much value you add into your clients. And if you can grow with them as well, it's also must be a good
very
feeling.
satisfying. Very satisfying. I mean, if they have any challenge, it personally hits us too. And we feel involved. And even if the scope of ours was limited to whatever we delivered, and if we see that we could add value for the client to help them in doing other things, we felt genuinely welcoming the call for help requests that were coming to us, not even related to our business. And we were very happy.
Yeah, makes sense. Turning back the time a little bit, when you actually started the business, do you think being a founder of a business was something that you always planned to do? Do you feel like you had the entrepreneurial spirit inside of you, or how did it come around?
Oh, good question. So, interestingly, you only discovered that you're an entrepreneur only when the first opportunity self-presents itself for you. Apart from what I do, I'm a gamer. And I was playing games. And when I was a kid... What games are we talking about? Oh, there was, pretty much everything. Adventure games. It was also the Doom days. And,
I remember those.
And I was Sierra Online, the Quest series, and some of those old LucasArts. I used to love the games that took a long time in thinking and resolving, figuring out a riddle and trying to trying to solve it. But I discovered that I was a bit of an entrepreneur because these games that I used to play, they were adventure games, and you had to solve certain things in specific order to go and complete the storyboard. So I wrote a hint book. And I went into the computer shop that sells the games, and I said, "Hell, I've got this print, thing, and I printed it in my house. How much you wanna pay me for it?"
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's like, "Okay, I'll put it on the shelf." And then next day he calls me. "How many copies can you give me?"
No way. It's like a cheat sheet, right, of how to get through the levels. Wow.
Officially they were sold. But back then, the internet wasn't even a thing. There was no internet. So people couldn't get the official hint books unless they find them literally physically on their own shelves, and someone imported that onto their shelves. And that was something that I was like, okay, I created something and I'm able to sell it now. And it's for something that I enjoy. And fast forward till, obviously that morphed into different types of businesses, gaming centers.
Did you sell quite a lot of these then, by the way? Did you create more? Or?
I was in school.
Yeah, nice.
So they were buying me things that my daily money that I used to get from my parents wasn't able to buy me. So I used to literally save a couple of pennies on the side and buy myself pair of shoes or some new toy or something. So I can't remember what I used to do with it, honestly.
More games, buy more games.
Buy more games, obviously. Yes. And happy days. So, but basically, you discover that you always had that entrepreneurship seed in you. And when I got started with this, and I was with IBM at that point in time, and I was looking at the markets, and when I wired the money in to do that, that's when I figured that, okay, the markets around us definitely need a solution to allow people like me who there's a demand. I would like to buy and sell shares in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, for example, and I couldn't do that remotely. I had to queue up on people's windows in the trade center, and I was busy using my on my job, and I was working, and I have ethics. I cannot just leave my job and park in a window, and knocking on someone's desk. Can you buy me
Sounds so old
shares,
school, doesn't it?
shares of Amar or something? I swear, this is how it used to be.
Yeah.
So, but then I created this platform, and I wanted to create a brokerage company, and then I figured, oh, that's too complicated, too capital intensive, and what the heck you're doing? So that platform, I started licensing it to startup brokerage firms who wanted to set things up. And one thing led to the other, and eventually I became part of the industry from that that perspective, basically.
When did you realize you was on the right path? Like, when did you realize that this is something that we can really scale here, or this is an amazing idea that we can see a lot of potential in?
When I landed my second client.
Okay, nice.
So the first client, I was a skeptic. Okay, I've got this platform. I sold it to the first one. Will there be a second one?
Was
I
it a
don't know.
fluke? Like...
And so when the second client came up, and look, I was the programmer, the sales, the support. Pretty much the guy that mops the floor.
Every hat.
Everything, every title, everything. I was the guy that did everything. And I had a concern. Every time I show up to the same client, it's the same guy. Do I disguise? Do I bring people with me just because I want to show them there's more people? and I actually did that. But then later, when the second client came up,
you wore disguises.
Well, every time I wear a hat, one's a cap, one's a suit. But, well, I mean, I was dealing with startups too.
Yeah.
So it was the owner of the business that he was also doing pretty much everything himself. And it was very compatible because he was doing everything, I was doing everything. So we had quality times meeting and discussing his vision and what he wanted to do and how, and I was like, okay, and how I was able to help them with. So the more I started speaking to the industry and learning more about it, I fell more and more in love with it because the financial services industry is unique, honestly. Highly transactionally focused, yet you have to be secure, you have to comply with certain rules and regulations, you have to ensure that your technology can scale, and so there's technical challenges. What if 100 people log in at the same time, or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people log in at the same time? Does it go down? Does it not? And will you be able to survive hack attempts? You're dealing with money. Absolute conservative industry in this case. But that's because it was a bit challenging, also raised the bar high. And if you take this as a challenge and literally tick one box at a time, eventually you see yourself moving in the right direction and look behind you that others are still stuck selling boxes or selling things where they are.
Yeah.
Then you say, okay, well, there is something into this. And if I was able to do this here, and I'm sure that there's hundreds of countries that I could potentially do this into at the same time. And I just don't want to morph to becoming another dinosaur.
Yeah.
And that was a concern. So I wanted to make sure that we always looked after the industry trends and making sure when we design something, we design it with forward-looking designs and then go back and say, okay, they asked us to connect it to one thing, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. It's a one-to-many or a many-to-many. He chose not to connect to the second one, for example. So you put the design in place so you don't have to undo your designs basically later. Yeah, so I'm trying to be as generalizer as possible over here. But when it comes to Zag today, it's truly an enterprise-grade infrastructure that carries the weight of the most demanding, complex financial services companies, banks, brokers, asset managers, and complies with all the regulations and laws and delivers quality of service unmatched in the industry.
Yeah.
That didn't come overnight.
Yeah, of course.
We paid the maximum tax we could ever pay, which is time. I remember days we created a platform, then we go to a bank, and then you want to sell it to the bank.
Yeah.
You're excited.
But back then as well, right? So when you're first starting the business, I imagine local banks here are quite hard to break into. Was it difficult to create those relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example how we didn't pass through the second door without naming a bank, a specific bank or banks. Let's assume the company was 2, 3, 4 years old. You created this beautiful platform at a time. Today it's primitive. When you look at it, it was primitive then compared to what we have today, but it was beautiful at that point in time. And then you go to the bank and say, okay, you have to throw out everything you've got and replace it with this thing. Okay, who are you guys?
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
And we're like 2 or 3 years old and 5 people who think they've solved the problem of the world and they're trying to make you run onto their platform. Okay, good for you. So obviously the banks won't let you go into the second door because they're scared and they're risk conscious as well. And that was one of those challenges that hit us. We had to start with the smaller players and get a bunch of these, then grow into the medium size, then the larger size, all the way to the triple X large. And eventually that takes time.
Yeah.
A baby needs 9 months. Whatever you do, it's 9 months.
Yeah.
So you still have to go through that evolutionary process. And to us, it's a business to business technology licensing for a very conservative industry, financial services and banking. So when people say, I want to create the next platform, I want to license it to all the banks, brokers, and I want to compete, good luck.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know what I had to go through to do that.
It's a very difficult industry. I think even just the barrier of entry, right, to work with the likes of banks and financial institutions, but equally the products you are building, like you said before, it's so technically difficult to build some of these platforms, like to hire these talent, to build these platforms. That's why so many smaller companies, they can't do it. They can't do it by themselves.
It takes so much time and effort and luck.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be lucky in certain cases where someone randomly knocks on your door, or you have been lucky setting your company in a specific place that was growing and shedding their old skin, and they're looking for solutions, and they were looking at anything that's widely available, and suddenly you show up in their face and you get your share into the market.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a mix between luck and also making sure that you're persistent and never give up. I mean, if you ask me today, would you do Zag Trader again? I would say probably not.
Probably not. No. It was that difficult, yeah.
It's so difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
You know what? You mentioned the things there, right? The persistence, the hard work, the time. But I feel like the combination of that creates the look, right? It creates the look off the back of it when you're consistently persistent on that.
The world has cycles, economic cycles, buying cycles. I mean, the bank who you wanted to sell, they bought another platform a year or two before you showed up. They're not going to replace it.
Yeah.
They're going to limp on it, even if it's not that good, for a few more years until they start looking for something else to replace. They cannot just go and justify, oops, we've done a mistake or we've done this. So you have sometimes to wait for the clients to be ready.
Yeah.
You couldn't go and sell someone in the moon while in your backyard you haven't sold anybody yet.
Yeah.
So it was very tough for me to go and start selling in Europe and the US and everywhere, where in the GCC I haven't been able to sell many at that point in time. The luck also comes in being in the right place with the right product at the right time.
Yes, yeah.
All these three have to align. Perfect alignment. If they don't align, then you need to be willing to wait. And sometimes you don't know how long you're going to be waiting for.
You can be ahead of something, right? You can be ahead of the market and ahead of the industry. You can create something which is actually a bit too futuristic for that space in time as well, can't you? So
yeah, right product, right place,
Yeah.
right time.
Yeah.
So you could be a hidden gem
Yeah.
nobody knows about, then that's the wrong place.
Yeah.
Right product, wrong time, where you're ahead of your time,
Yeah.
but people were not mentally ready for it. I mean, you had literally to take all three. And we're ready for it. We're ready for the next phase, and we're so excited for where we are. So we've done the hard work, and now we are working with a brilliant team that we have, and that are going to hopefully take this into the next level.
Amazing. Out the journey so far, what would you say some of the hardest things that you faced, whether that's necessarily in business or building a company in general? What would you say the hardest things is that you faced?
Believe it or not, we never had any institutional investor.
Wow.
So that means cash flow management has been a primary concern.
Of course.
A lot of startups today, they go and just because they have an idea, they raise. Now, if you raise funds, some startups become irresponsibly spending that money and burning it very quickly.
You see that so much, right? People shout about it on LinkedIn. They've had a raise, flaunting it around, and you see it so frequently. They hire a lot of people. They go up and down.
Absolutely.
All the time.
So to us, it was totally the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. So the second thing is, other than the management of the cash flows, some mistakes, I would say, or challenges were not hiring seniors early enough. It takes so much time, and you end up paying more, but not initially, but over 3 years, you end up paying so much more in terms of penalty, in terms of, I mean, not penalties in the classical way of, I would say, technical debt. And you could potentially have, you would be far better higher where you are with the seniors around you. But also sometimes it was cash flow led. So if you don't have the cash, how would you hire the senior?
Well, that's the issue, right? I guess if you've not got the investment and everything's on you, sometimes can't afford the most senior people.
Correct. Unless you find those seniors. Now, that process of thinking wasn't very mature early. Unless you find those seniors that are willing to go and partner with you and provide them with sweat equity, and they've already been in companies that did things like you and so forth. Our problem also was we're getting into an industry that the industry participants in the region where we are, technologists, don't exist.
Yeah.
So where are these seniors that I find them? Where are these seniors that I can find them? So you go back again and you try to beat yourself. I should have hired seniors. Yeah. But then I was like, I couldn't find seniors.
Yeah, there's not
such
thing.
And then you're like, hold on a second. Why am I beating myself?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't find seniors. I had to learn this the hard way. Yeah. I had to teach bid and ask and what basic terminologies are for tech people, including myself. Yeah. I was one of those techies, but I learned it very quickly. That all actually goes into one place, the collective experience that we eventually had today. And that has led us to thinking of how do we take all that experience, whether it was positive, negative. VC wasn't even a thing when I started.
Wow.
Venture capital, I mean, the Middle East didn't have venture capital in the classical name, the way it is today. And selling B2B, business to business, technology solutions for banks, it takes years in the making to hopefully sell to other financial institutions to break even. It's like medicine, you're like biotech. But you need to have a biotech investor to understand what the heck you're doing so that they go and invest with you. And everybody was investing into consumer apps. Find me my best mechanic, come fix my house, come deliver deliveries or whatever. E-commerce was started to becoming a thing, and so forth. But our industry was tough, and we couldn't find investors that were easily able to understand what we do. Yeah, some of them understand it from a distance, and they were so business plan, Excel spreadsheet focused on. Okay, what's your revenue next year? How much revenue did you make last year? well, what about the intrinsic value that we currently have and what we're building? And that was also a problem in finding those types. And that actually justifies why we haven't had any major institutional round, because every time we wanted to go into a phase, we become less and less of a startup and more of an established company.
Yeah.
And every time we go into being an established company, the investor mindset changes. So you have to today look into late venture capitals where Zag is today, or close to private equity where Zag is today.
Yeah.
However, we have an interesting thing that we created, and that started to opening doors for us. And we wanted to channel all the stuff that we've learned into one place. So we established Zag Ventures.
Yeah.
So all the problems we had when we started, we're trying to solve them today for others.
Yeah, interesting.
So we're going into startups today and say, what are you doing? Oh, I want to build a trading platform. I want to build X and Y, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I say, okay, how much you're raising? And million to whatever the number is. Have you built a prototype? No, I haven't. So you're trying to raise money so you can build a prototype, so you can go and impress your regulator, and then go and hopefully raise one more time to go and spend it on sales and marketing, and you end up with dilutions from day one as an investor, and so forth. So we go into these today, and we simply say, okay, how about we partner with you? You're a startup. You have an institutional investor from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Not greedy. I'll give you enterprise-grade technology. You can use it the right way. So when you're up and running, the worst thing that you can do as a startup, and I've seen it happening, where they patch things up very quickly, they launch their service, clients started to show up, complications start to emerge, and then you go behind the scenes and it's a bunch of spreadsheets running around and people pulling wires like this. But it looks like tech from the outside, because anyone can make a nice looking website or an app. But at the back office, nobody knows how things are actually managed. So you have to take 3 steps back so that you can take 4 steps forward at that point in time.
So it really is the full stack solution then, isn't it? It's like everything that you can provide to that startup to be successful, really.
They couldn't afford it also.
Yeah.
So we're saying, okay, forget the cost of that. Take the right technology, start with it, and we will help you develop your vision into reality on it. And this is how we can go and partner with you.
Yeah.
Now, at that point in time, you cut your development timelines, and you go, and if you're in an incubation, in a regulatory incubator, you go into graduation very quickly, and then the regulator gives you the green light, because you're running onto an enterprise platform that banks are running on it.
Yeah.
And
it's very hard to get regulated here as well, right? It's a big issue for so many businesses.
It is, yeah. But if you with the right partners, with the right platforms, it is straightforward, and we can even help them.
Nice.
So Zag Ventures today invests into startups.
Wow, okay, nice.
Yeah, so we're trying to go and invest into our future clients and partners. Something interesting that's happening, Zag is also growing into regulating itself voluntarily. When we are running the show on behalf of banks, the banks expect us to behave and act as per their regulations require. And so you have to invest into the security, operational governance, all the stuff that is banking IT lives and breathes into. Now, apart from all of that, that's where we started with the managed solutions, and we became the SaaS, and that opened up everything for us actually. And this is the growth vertical started to rise very sharp due to that.
When did you start doing the managed services side of the business?
We started roughly formally 3 years ago.
Okay, nice.
And that's where the company started to grow dramatically. Nice. But it always starts much before that. You have a couple of clients who have a little hardship in managing technical resources.
Yeah.
So you want still the client to pay you for your software. So you say, okay, how about me getting you a couple of servers, putting them onto the cloud, and me looking after it for you? So, and then you pay me for that. Well, it costs me X, you pay me X. Really simple.
Adding more value as well to them, right? Like,
yes.
Perfect.
And I did that not because I wanted to make more money out of that function, but because I didn't want to lose the client.
Yeah. Win-win for everybody involved in yourself, right?
So the first client came up, good. Second, third. Then we started thinking, well, obviously there's something in this. And we need to unify the stack across everybody. You cannot just have scattered implementations everywhere, and you're a single IT department looking after multiple systems. So you're trying to solve it for the clients, and you end up introducing a new problem for yourself operationally.
Yeah.
And that's where the formal managed services hat came up, and we had to go and invest dramatically into the security, DevOps, and a few other things related to that. So we got the ISO certifications, and we got all this stuff, the necessary stuff. We went to ADGM one day, and I asked them, can you regulate me? I was there, they were like, regulate you in what terms? I was like, regulate me as a financial services company, but I'm not a financial services company. So one guy looked at me and he smiled. I said, okay, take our the regulatory book, do what it says, but that's called self-governance. We don't have a regime that's called regulatory for fintechs that are not handling funds, and the operational aspect that doesn't exist. It may exist in different regions. So we've taken that and we started applying it blindly. So we're functioning as a regulated entity, although we're technologists.
Yeah.
And operationally, everything is in line and in sync with the customer's expectations.
I think it's such a good way to build the business, though, right? Because the add-ons, I guess, you've kind of supplemented onto Zag Trader's offerings is that you've found those real-world problems each time.
Oh, yes.
And it's just built it on, then became more valuable as a business because now you can cover everything that a client would need.
1 + 1 = 3 when it comes to integrated systems.
That's true.
If you build one system that does one thing and the other system that does another thing, each one has its own inherited value and it lives inside that own system.
Yeah.
There's another hidden value called seeing the two systems running smoothly within each other. Where does that translate? That's the inherited value that you get as a client when all your systems run beautifully, nicely, and tightly coupled, and so forth. And the value that we started to bringing into clients when we provided the full stack.
Yeah.
One system, your accountant logs onto it, your trader logs onto it, the owner of the whole thing logs onto it, and eventually you don't even log into it sometimes. We have some clients who use it as a framework to route orders to exchanges, and it's like a black box. You don't even need to log onto it. My point is, it becomes pretty much the Spotify of financial services.
Nice.
So that's where we're trying to go. Dumb out all the details related to, the payments, cataloging, merchandising, pretty much with an e-commerce analogy.
Everything wrapped up. If we're talking about, obviously, you've got to the business to now like 70, 80 people. Could you give me some advice, or anybody's listening, about managing a good team, like words of wisdom and how to scale a team, and also leadership lessons you've learned along the way as well?
Yes. We've invested a lot into this recently. You can imagine we never had an HR department when we were 10 people.
Yeah, of course.
So, but later we introduced an HR department, and we never had certain requirements and governance and KPIs. But where we're going today, treat everybody like an adult, and gain their trust, and give them your trust, and you will be surprised for what you see. A lot of startups or a lot of companies, especially we came in through that learning curve as well. You're trying to introduce very specific, strict clock in, clock out, and you have to do certain things in a specific way.
Yeah.
Initially, you need that
because
you didn't have extra money to spend on nothing, and you needed to make sure that everything is done in a specific governing way, like a project. Otherwise, you won't even have a proof of concept if everybody was loose.
Yeah.
But once you have something and you allow people to go and begin to innovate themselves, while I'm saying this, I can even remember specific teams of mine. You just leave them and they come back to you with, oh, wow, when did you even make this?
Yeah, wow. Giving them the freedom to be able to do that, right? Express themselves a little bit more.
And basically, they become better leaders themselves as well.
Yeah.
So as you grow within the inner circle around you, you begin to lose control completely because you cannot see, and you don't have enough time to speak to 70, 80, 100 people or even more.
You can't micromanage 70 people. It's just impossible.
I have an office in Amman, Jordan, where the bulk of the headcount goes into. And when I visit, I feel proud and sad sometimes.
Okay. Why both?
Proud that we're building what we were building.
Yeah.
Sad is I keep my door open, and I always try to shake hands with every single person that I go. But a lot of these faces, I haven't spent enough time with each of them to go and develop that personal connection.
Yeah.
Obviously, the people that start with you were only speaking to them.
You know them inside out, everything about them, right?
You know what food they like, about anything. But I see faces and names, and I urge everyone to come and speak to me because I really want to learn more about everyone. And this is also naturally happening. I'm sure if you have 10,000 employees, you don't know necessarily everyone, but you would love to know everyone.
I think that's a nice trait to have, though, because so many people maybe would almost like fear speaking to their leader, right? Or wouldn't want to have that, or nervous to have that relationship. So it's nice that you offer that, and makes it feel a better environment.
I'm a hands-on guy too.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, until today, I do coding myself.
Yeah, really.
So I roll up my sleeves and take a deep dive into certain things, and I sit with my team and we go into some thinking. And sometimes I don't code something specific, but I ask them to do it in a specific way because out of experience, I have some ideas that come to my head, and I say, okay, that's what I think.
Yeah.
If you think of anything better, take that and optimize it further, and maybe it works in a better way. And always give them the capability, the option to introduce opposing ideas. I mean, Mr. Know-it-all said, do it this way. I mean, I'm okay for someone to come and tell me, with all due respect, it's not the most optimal way of doing things. How about this? How about that? I feel so happy actually seeing these talkbacks and,
it's good.
The challenges.
Also, it shows you what a good team you've built, right? People are testing you and building something new for the first time. It's very good.
Yes, absolutely.
I know we've not got masses of time left, so I just want to pick your brains on a few more things as well. So in terms of the industry itself, how do you see the industry evolving, specifically in fintech, over the next 5 to 10 years?
Look, crypto wasn't part of this industry.
Yeah.
And it was shunned away, and it was a taboo to even deal with it in certain cases.
Yeah.
Now that it's getting regulated, people are starting seeing the actual use cases of, the word crypto even is analogous with a lot of scams and industry.
That's why people get worried about it, don't they, I think?
Look at it from a technology perspective, the blockchain, the fractionalizations, the movement of real-world assets into the digital space and being able to transact onto that. It's basically moving the title deed of a building digitally and cut it into a million pieces.
Huge
and
in this region.
allow people to also own pieces of that. And how do you actually allocate this and prove that he owns this piece and somebody else doesn't own that? And if revenue comes up, how do you distribute that out among others?
Very interesting space. So lots of businesses here are doing something similar.
Yes, it's happening. It's happening right now. And the fusion of conventional finance and digital assets is something that's actually coming today. What's also happening is big dinosaurs are the big banks. Big, massive, but they were a bit passive when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Now they're investing more to bringing in the super finance app to the consumers. So a lot of startups started developing their own solutions because they saw a gap that no one was covering this. And some of them did well, and they stay niche. But now we're looking at the big banks stepping in and moving into offering their applications that are able to do a lot more than just credit cards, loans, and bill pay, and getting into wealth management, getting into investment management, getting into being able to very soon buy your movie tickets or buy your X, Y, whatever it is through a banking application, if the digital assets and the real world assets eventually become part of that.
I think this is the equalizer, isn't it, for so many fintech startups, right? Especially with AI and how fast people can build now, is that startups in the middle market, they can beat these large financial institutions because they can beat them to it in terms of speed.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult trade-off and who can get there first, really.
It's a dual-edged sword. AI also today, I know a bunch of big banks that are hungry to wanting to acquire and buy some of these startups because they don't have that DNA internally. And if they do, then they're trying to get these startups to develop the custom solutions for them. So in a way, AI did help a whole lot into bridging these gaps. If a bank didn't have experience in software development, yet a startup did, so they had an advantage. AI is making things faster, but also it's removing some of these requirements. You don't need to understand software development anymore.
That's so true. Just need to be good at prompting it.
Correct. So if you're a banker and you know your business and you go to AI and tell them, build me an ad that does X, Y, and Z, then you get that. And then throw it to your IT team and tell them, I love what I just did. The business person created an app. Please integrate it internally into our own systems. And that's where they do the integration and making sure it's secure and all. The IT does what they need to do.
It's crazy, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. So startups also, you're looking at them from a different perspective. They're also under challenge again. So when the big guys start to wanting to move, startups, what are you trying to develop that the bank is unable to move? So that now you're actually trying to raise the bureaucracy of these big institutions, not the technical leadership that you command specifics against what they have. Because they have a big team. All of them, they could potentially prompt the same brain and develop the same solution, but with massive budgets as well.
That's the thing. They've got the backing to be able to implement it, haven't they?
Yes. We actually, AI, which is an interesting topic, we're using AI internally in Zag today to develop, to optimize our code, to create front ends. AI is brilliant in creation of front end systems. Amazing. We're actually, refreshing that whole thing with AI. So AI is really good for the companies that know how to use it.
Yeah, that makes sense. One last question. What advice would you give to anybody that wants to build something special? Like they want to be a founder of a fintech business and they want to compete. Like what advice would you give to people?
If you're a business person, find a good CTO early on. Don't start with patched up solutions. Build something that can last at an early stage. Don't overwork on the engineering and forget the business, obviously, but find a good technical partner for you to start with. If you're a technical person on the other side, you need to find your co-founder and eventually your business co-founder. It's very rare where you could be both at the same time.
Yeah. It's also difficult to find a good match and a partner you can trust long term, right?
True. So it's very tricky. Now, some of those partners could be, with today, Zag Ventures can become one of those partners. So I'm not trying to pitch Zag Ventures in any way or shape in this example, but I'm just giving it as an example.
Yeah.
Also, go after revenue very quickly. If you build, and don't have revenue at an early stage, something will break. Patience, economic cycles. The guys that have been supporting you will no longer be there. You need to break even very quickly.
You can't pay wages, you can't pay anything,
Absolutely.
Right?
So you need to break even quick. And then once you break even, it's like the time stops. And that's what happened with Zag. Because once we broke even, it didn't matter if we reached milestone 2 or 3 or 4 in a year or 2 or 5 even, because we broke even. So time stops. But if you had this...
Must be a good point when that happens though, right?
Yes. But if you have the concept, that as startups call it, burn rate, runways, there's always something running after you, that's not comfortable.
Yeah, understood. Shihab, thank you so much. That was amazing. Really appreciate your time and amazing story so far. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you in Zag as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time as well. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.